Thank you. An update now to an On Your Side investigation. It was back in January that we shared the story of a Richmond man pleading for a pardon after serving some 22 years in prison. Well, shortly after our story aired, this man was pardoned by former Governor Ralph Northam. New at 6, Jasmine Turner sat down with newly freed Robert Wise Green to talk about his second chance at life.
Did you always have your sights set on, I will get out one day?
I always have my sight set on I will get out one day because I'm a very spiritual person. So I see God within myself. You know, I walk as God within myself. And so that was always my inspiration. That was my strength. I always pull from that strength from my inner self. I knew that the person that I have become deserved to be out. And eventually, it would take place.
January 6, 2022, the doors of Deep Meadow Correctional Center opened.
It's a great feeling. Those that's still there and who have went through their transition and changed their life around, they deserve to experience this too.
Robert Green, also known as Wise Shahid, stepped into a new life after 22 years in prison.
Talk about who you were and who you are now.
Wow, that's a major transition. Who I was the typical street guy, you know, living in the street lifestyle and glorified living that lifestyle. And then through years of like introspection, you know, looking within myself and practicing my 5% teachings, it helped me go through an evolution. It's kind of like a caterpillar to the butterfly.
In 2005, Wise was sentenced to more than 30 years for drug, firearms charges, and malicious wounding in Halifax County. Wise says he was in a car. They were pulled over and he ran. An officer chased after him.
In the process of throwing me to the ground is how he scraped his knee. This is how the malicious wounding charge came about.
The first time we spoke, Wise had been granted a conditional pardon that shortened his sentence, but he would still serve 11 more years. Wise was asking former Governor Ralph Northam to grant his release. This letter outlines the dozens of programs Wise completed while incarcerated, including re-entry programs. Former fellow inmates have described him as a teacher and a mentor.
I think it was a lot of contribution from the story. When the story got out, the story that y'all aired, I think that also had a role in it.
A coalition also continued to speak on Wise's behalf.
They are like the best supporters I've ever seen.
In January 2022, he got the call from a DOC counselor.
So as she was reading, I'm like, this sound like I heard this before. And then she was like, well, to be released immediately. And I was just like, yes.
So you recently went back?
I went back into State Farm Correctional Center, which is called Deep Meadows. And I spoke to the guys in the reentry part.
What was that like for you?
That was surreal because I knew that day would come, but I didn't think it would be that fast to be coming back in to speak with some guys that I just left from.
And a lesson Wise shares with them?
Pay attention to your thinking. If you can pay attention to your thoughts, you can prevent a lot of things that considered to be negative.
Now living in Richmond, reuniting with family, Wise is getting to travel.
That's me right here.
And share his story, hoping to save another life along the way.
While I was in there, I had wrote this book with the support of those that's a part of my support team. I was able to get it published real quick, and so it's like my life story, my life as a 5%er. So it's just basically a memoir. My life as a 5%er just means that, I'm a poor righteous teacher. The 5%, our main thing is mentor children and kind of like go to children that were on the path like I was and kind of be like a guide, an example. Like, you don't want to go down this path, right? I want my life to be an example so it can be said, this was a success story. A lot of times the success stories are not told. And I walk in that lane of a success story.
Wise is hoping to hit 1,000 book sales this summer, and he continues to help and plans to help others prepare for reentry. I asked Wise, based on his experience, what he thinks needs to change in the criminal justice system, and you can hear his answer in a clip in this story on our website. On your side, Jasmine Turner, NBC-12.
An inspiration.